Modders. Dizzy here with another XCOM 2 video for you. And today I'm going to be looking at this SDK development tools that XCOM 2 gave to the users at a little more detail. That being said, this is not a modding tutorial from start to finish on how to create a mod. All we're doing is going over some of the things that are available to you in this SDK, in this Visual Studio Modbuddy application, so you can better understand what you're going to need to make mods, ranging from the weapons to different maps to just script edits to the game's files, like increasing your squad size and making that a SDK mod, and that's a script mod. And this video is aiming to just show you what this is, what a solution is, what are the different folders and different options, and how you can leverage other people's mods to make what you want as well. That being said, at the end of this, we will be launching XCOM 2 with a mod to show you some of the different things and different tools the actual development XCOM 2 screen shows you, because it is a different interface than the regular game, and it's purely aimed at testing your mod out. So we're going to look at sections as mod components, how to build a mod, and how to test it in this video. So when you first get this SDK downloaded, you'll start with probably selecting a new mod. You'll be presented with this start page screen, and at any point, if you click around and this gets closed out or your Solution Explorer gets closed and you don't know how to see things, you can go to this view and you can find pretty much everything here under other windows sometimes, but this isn't that big of a tool. The original Visual Studio has way more involved in it. Not even the original, but the Visual Studio. This is the Modbuddy. So there we can select Solution Explorer, and there it comes back up, and also our start page. So let's select new mod, and we will select, I'm going to select an example weapon so you can actually see some things that this looks like, and I recommend doing the same so you can start looking at what some of the things involved in creating a weapon look like. So we'll do YouTube weapon as the name, and I recommend you name it early on right here, because once you name your solution, it's going to be very difficult to change it. That being said, if you don't name your solution, you might kind of get stuck or might have issues later renaming it down the line, because it's tied to the file system. Everything's kind of tied together, and it doesn't automatically rename things in the file system or in your configurations of your mod for you just because you changed the name. So make sure you give it a good name and something you can differentiate. This isn't the name of your mod by any means, but it is definitely something you want to give a good name for so you can find it later, and if you leave it for a little while, you can come back and mess around with it. So one of the first places you want up on your screen is the Solution Explorer, and again, you can do that by going to View, Solution Explorer. And the little thumbtack icon here helps you hide things when you need the full screen of view, and selecting that thumbtack icon again locks that into place so you can keep it on there and also be in this screen at the same time. It's a nice thing to have on your side, and it's kind of the structure of your mod. And here's the name of this file, YouTube weapon, with the solution, YouTube weapon. So the mod you're creating is called the solution because you're going to be wrapping all the things you need for this mod to work in your solution, and then building that solution and exporting it out to the game. So the first thing I want to cover is script code, which every mod will need. Not every mod will need content, which means animations or weapon colors or sounds. Not every mod will need that, but every mod will need the source and those classes in the source there. Now, the one thing the source doesn't show you here, because we picked the example, is all of the other classes that are in XCOM game. So let's take a look. You know what we'll do? Actually, I'm going to create a new mod. So let me open up another. And if you want multiple instances of your Modbuddy running, just right click on it down here. See if I can see it. I'm not sure I can see it, but right click on it in your taskbar and then just select XCOM 2 Modbuddy application, and it'll load up a brand new instance of it without closing it, because you can't really do that through Steam. You can only open one thing at a time in Steam, but if you right click that application and load up another one, you can have multiple running side by side, which is helpful. Helpful, especially when you're pulling from other people's source files and kind of making adjustments to it to suit your needs, which I highly recommend. I definitely recommend you look at other people's mods and use their data in conjunction with what your ideas are to make something, because modding is free, modding is open. And the ultimate goal at the end of the day is for you to become comfortable with the tools in front of you, and trying to reinvent the wheel is completely unnecessary. It's the same reason we have Stack Overflow as a website, is to help coders understand different ways to code things and just to do what they're looking to do without having to read a massive manual about how this program works from end to end. So I opened up a new mod project to show you that the XCOM game folder will be there and this is, again, if we go to new project and select the default mod, this XCOM game classes system will be there for you. And I'll be going into a little bit more detail on this in later videos when we're actually creating mods. And these are all the classes that the game uses today. There's a lot of them. There's definitely a lot. So, and you can use this search bar up here to kind of go through what you're looking for. So if I'm looking for weapons, I'll type in weapon and it'll show me all the different things that have a weapon in them. Armor, UI tactical, UI X2 ability, X2 weapon, template, X2 item, default weapons, fun things like that. So I definitely recommend looking into those files. They are going to be large and in charge, but that's where, again, using other people's created mods and kind of modeling off them will help you understand what these files do and what you'll need to do to at least get them off the ground and working. And once you get them working, you'll be able to expand on it and make more serious adjustments. Okay, back to the YouTube weapon. I made this again from new project, and then example weapon was the project that I chose. And we're going to load this up in the game, or I'll show you how to load this up in the game. I'm not sure if we're going to be able to find this necessarily. Let's see, XCOM weapon template. Let's look at the mod preview. Maybe there is an actual image. Okay, this is the weapon that they have created for the game. It's got a big barrel underneath it. It's got some scopes. I'm not sure if this is after all the attachments. It might be after all the attachments, but it seems just to be the assault rifle looking like class. Okay. So that's the scripts. And you can see in the scripts, you'll need a script defining the item and then a script defining what to do when the game starts. So here's like local files, new game, state, what to do with the old state, HQ states, which is the headquarters. So definitely read all the comments in there, peruse on that. I won't go into too much more detail. I'm just going to try to hit the high level this time, and then be sure to look at my follow-up videos where I'll be going into specific mod additions, like how to create a weapon, how to create an armor, how to create a map. I'll be trying to get videos out there to help you out with that. So these are the scripts. And again, if you wanted to look at all the scripts, open up a new mod project using the default mod option. So secondly, and you can see this in this weapon as well, is you'll need content. And what is content? It is meshes, textures, animations, sounds, all these things and more that define your mod visually and audibly. That content is not readily available to be seen using Modbuddy application. The Modbuddy application primarily builds it for you and utilizes all the files you provide it and integrates it into the game, but it does not create these meshes, these textures, these animations for you, these sounds. That is in tools found in the Unreal Development Kit, the UDK. You can find that online. You can find a lot of information on modding the game, and I'll go into some more of this information later in the later series, but we're focusing on what kinds of details you're going to need to think about when you're creating a mod, and in this folder structure over here. Definitely look that up. Google searches like what opens UPKs or what opens UMaps will give you more details on that. And you'll need tools such as extractors, decompressors. I can actually show you the folder of the tools that I have downloaded just recently. UE explorers, decompressors, extractors, hex editors, bunch of stuff here, as well as the UDK itself, so I can actually view certain packs and certain maps in that window. Again, we're going to be covering that in a later video. And then second or third, I should say, is the config files. These config files kind of tell what to do with what you have. So here for the example weapon, these two, and these three are crucial for any configuration to work. You'll need to define these, like, so you see the DLC identifier example weapon, because that is the name of our source file, and the name of this class. So if you can see it in the XCOM game, you'll see example weapon dot x2 downloadable content info underscore example weapon. So that's example weapon dot this file name right here. And the XCOM engine, non-native package, example weapon, and then mod packages, example weapon. So that's configurations there, and these three are essential. There may be more that you need, but again, we'll go into more detail on that on specific modding capabilities. And then lastly, we're going to be looking at localization data, which is game that is shown to the player. So tactical text means text in your battle, tactical being battle, and they use strategy as the idea that you're at the headquarters. So this weapon demonstrates how to add new weapons to XCOM 2, does extra damage and crit, gives suppression to the bearer. So there's some friendly text for you that's within the game. And that pretty much covers the 4 sections that you'll need to make a mod. Not necessarily all 4, but at a minimum 2, which is this config and these scripts. Depending on what you're making, if you're making if you're making maps and additions to the game, including items, armors, you're going to need these UPK files. This localization file you might not need. You might not want to show any text to the player, but generally you're going to want to give some detail within the game. Kind of the last thing on your mind, really, the things that you're going to want to focus on are these INIs, classes, and content files, because that's what will make the game run. So once you have all these, or you have some of them, or you're testing things out, you can always run build solution from the build menu. Control-Shift-B. And I'll make this a little bigger. And you can see it's already doing some things like reaching out to the SDK and the files there, compiling this, looking at different parts of that SDK, and loading it all together and compiling it, making it one single package. And this may take some time, so we'll let it do that. And then after this loads up, we're going to actually launch this in game. I'm going to take a look at some of these files to see where this might come up. So I'll just talk through some of my thoughts. Oh, here, our build succeeded, so there's one succeeded. And to test it, you go to debug, start debugging. And it's going to do a whole build again. That was just to show you that you don't necessarily have to build or have to test it with a build. Building is for checking out if your scripts are happy. Like all of this here, all of the scripting in this file, it's fine. All the scripting in the file is correct. That's why it compiled successfully. And not necessarily correct, but it didn't cause an error, right? Like you didn't forget a semicolon, you didn't forget a parenthesis or quote. Everything seemed to be okay. That's what correct means. Shoot, it might get into your game later and completely crash. Huge possibility, happens all the time. Don't stress out. And I know this is kind of overwhelming, but that's why I'm just showing you the kind of things you'll be working with and what you'll be doing to make sure you can get this going on your own as well. So this is the example weapon. So I'm going to select that mod and hit play. It's going to load up a bunch of stuff in the background, and then the game will launch. So now we got the debug version of XCOM 2 running, and you can see that it looks very similar to what XCOM 2 looks like when you open up the game, but there's a lot of different options in there in different areas, with the two main ones down here being tactical and strategy. Tactical is the battle part of XCOM. So here you can choose map data, and you can actually choose the highway, ravine, streams, stores, multiplayers, objects, test areas, and then also do a bunch of different things here. Temperate arid tundra, force level or alert levels, lighting, and everything to kind of simulate the environment that your mod is going to be about. In some mods, like the camera mod, any battle will do, because all you're checking is for like the camera, and is it doing what you wanted it to do. So here we're going to go back to the main menu, so exit the main menu, and we're going to be looking for this weapon mod that is example in the Modbuddy application. And again, to get this weapon mod and to get to this point, I know we went through a lot of detail on the content of Modbuddy, but to get to this point, all you have to do is do start. I can actually go back to it real quick. File, new, project, example weapon. Start that out, and then once you have it all loaded, all you have to do is select debug, start debug, and it'll start loading all the files up together, and you'll get the play screen, and then just choose the example weapon mod and start the game. And then we'll get back to the actual mod. And once you're here, we're going to select strategy, debug strategy start, and it's going to try to load the regular window. Just, mash keys to skip this. There we go. Skipped. And you might get some of these red screen errors, but all you have to do is press start or space to get past them. And then let's go to, I want to hit escape so we can go back to the HQ. Alright, Tigan. Yep. Yep. I get it, Tegan. Thank you. So now you're in the debug headquarters. Yes. Thank you. God, being the commander, everybody wants to talk to you. I swear. So once you're in the HQ, you can see you already have a lot of the things built out. You're not starting the game from day one. You're not crapped on resources. You have everything. You have everything you need to identify whether your mod is working or not. So since we made a new weapon, or we're using the example weapon, let's go to the armory. Look at our soldiers. Let's just grab the specialist, because I believe the weapon that we made is a assault rifle. And let's look at loadout. And there's the mod example rifle. As you saw in the picture previously, that's the picture that the UPK, the mesh, that all the things that are necessary for content are there, and now they're in game. You can scroll all the way around. It's not just an image. And the gun is in the game. Now, if we look at some of this data over here on the right, I'll highlight over that so you can see it. You can see that in that localization INI file, those are the 3 bullet points that we saw. This weapon demonstrates how to add a new weapon to XCOM 2, does extra damage and crit, gives suppression to the bearer. Those are in the localization file. Again, those are facing the user. Those are text in the game facing the user. Now, let's see if we can find some of these damages, clip size, critical chances in our Modbuddy file. So I'm going to go back to that. And here we are. Now our crit chance was 5%, and I went to the X2 item mod example weapon. I believe we can find even the name of the weapon, which is mod example weapon, somewhere in here. Keep an eye out for that. But we can see the template has the weapon category of rifle. That's why the specialist was able to use it. The weapon tech was conventional. The category was weapon. And down here we see crit chance is plus equals to 5. So that's 5 is our crit chance. So we saw that in the game. I can scroll back to the game. And as you can see, we're no longer on that character, so let me actually go back in the game. Where are you, bud? All right, we'll just, yep, so mod example rifle. And I'll tab out of the game, so hopefully it sticks. Yep, so it's stuck there. And you can see that crit chance is 5%. And in the application, the Modbuddy application, this line right here says template base damage plus equals 2. That means that the base damage in the game is 5 to 7. The base damage on most assault rifles is 3 to 5. So you can see that got increased with this rifle. And that's the kind of stuff that you can see translate from the script to the game. You can see how the script controls different parts of the gun in the game, where the content is more for what the gun looks like and how it's gonna sit in their arms and all that other fun stuff. Let's go back to the actual script and see if we can identify anything else here. So we have different abilities that this gun has, different optics, stocks, triggers, clip size, and some of these items here, so sound range, critical chance, clip size, aim, actually piggybacks on the assault rifle classes. And you can see that, and let me actually bring that up from before. So now I opened up a default mod, so you can see the XCOM game classes. And then we're going to look at what it means when something like the clip size equals class assault rifle. So you can see it says X2 item default weapons. So let's look for that. X2 item x2 item, default weapons. So we have that open now. And then in that, you can find the assault rifle. So there's configurations for the assault rifle. And I'm going to scroll down. It's a huge class because it contains every gun in the game. And this default assault rifle conventional aim also exists in here. And then we're going to do a search on that. It's a configuration. And then you can probably find that in I'm going into the XCOM game configuration sections, default game data, weapon data. And here in the INIs, and this is full circle from my other video with the INIs, this is where it defines assault rifle conventional aim. This class within the XCOM game class defines a configuration called conventional aim. And then further down, the template, the actual gun itself, calls on this class or calls on this configuration object, which reaches out to the INI to find the actual value for the aim. And I know this might be a little too deep for this high-level video, and we're just getting to the end of it here. This is the kind of stuff we're going to be talking about in the later videos, defining on how to make sense of this all. But all I want to show, at least this time here, is that these templates are somewhat defined already in these XCOM game classes. So that's where you're going to want to look to start understanding. And one of the tricks I want to show right now is looking at other mods and quote unquote borrowing that data from them to make your own. You don't have to make every single line of this. I suggest using the example weapon, taking all of this, and just messing around with some of these options here and seeing how they look in game with some of your testing, and using that debugging, start debugging, and playing the game through that to make more sense of how the mod and your script, which is one and the same, your script interacts with the game, and how you can piggyback on some of the default items here, including abilities, including attachments, how to take all of this. And I sometimes just recommend, if you just want to add a gun in the game that looks like you're adding a model and you don't care what the damages are, that's your content and that's what you're going to focus on. Whereas you might piggyback on somebody's same model, but you're going to want to change the way it behaves and the different things that it could do. Or you don't care about either and you piggyback on the model and you add your own abilities to it. And I just recommend looking at other people's mods. So one thing I did, and let me show you this, is I went to nexusmods.com and I found the SMG pack, which is available for you from day one. I found this SMG pack, and instead of downloading it with the Nexus Mod Manager or downloading it through the Steam store where I couldn't get after the files because the Steam store files are on the server and they weren't necessarily available to you, I couldn't find them. So instead I went to Nexus Mod Manager or the Nexus Mod site and I downloaded manually. You might have to sign up, and I recommend you do because it's a great site. They've been running for a long time and they're one of my favorite mod sites. And you'll just open with the RAR opener .rar, and from there, once that opens, I'll show you that this solution over on the side looks eerily similar to this mod pack. So that we have config, content, localization, script, and source. We don't have a script because that's what gets created after you compile the mod and it's in like a hexadecimal. It's for the game to process everything and locate things a lot quicker than trying to reach out to every one of these files and sources. But if you go into the source pack, you can go into classes, and you can look at these UC, these sources, and you can bring them into Modbuddy and start looking at what that looks like. There's a lot of comments. If you especially look at comments made or the mods made by like the guys from Long Wars, so the SMG pack, the leader pack, which is a new class available in the game, and then also the Muton big guy, the brute guy they added to the game that's adding a new enemy to the game. You can see how these scripts are defined and what they did in these scripts, and that's what I would recommend to anybody getting going, because that is the hardest part by far, is just getting going on these mods and understanding how everything intertwines. But once you do get a generic understanding and you start pulling from these other things and just messing around, you too will be just as good as anybody out there, and it'll actually make a lot of sense. And you won't be able to do it overnight, I guarantee you, because it takes a little bit of time to mess around, and you might not have all the time in the world to do that. But in time, with some support from the modding community, including me, comment in the video, and I'll try to help out as best I can and look for things for you, and because that helps me as well define my abilities too. I've just started modding, just like you guys are looking to do, and here's my video trying to help you get to things in the mods and get to understanding Modbuddy and how things work. So I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Definitely put some comments into the description, like and subscribe, because I will continue down the warpath of making mods. And the first one I'm looking to do is to make a weapon mod and go into some more detail on these options here. We'll be looking at the example weapon mod, so you don't have to go out anywhere to make any kind of downloads or anything. You should have it with the Modbuddy SDK. And I'll just be going over some of these templates and what they mean, some of these different attributes in detail, so you can kind of start understanding where to find them. I know we touched on that a little bit, but the next video will be far, far more detail on that front. So again, thanks for watching. Dizzy here. Like and subscribe the video. I appreciate you guys taking the time to watch this, and I'll see you later.